This is the BMW R18, but this is no ordinary R18. This is the Sick Customs R18, and I have reason to believe this could be one of the coolest R18s in the world. The R18 is a fantastic looking bike as standard, but it's not for everyone. It's one of those bikes that's a bit of a Marmite machine, and people either love it or hate it. And I think a lot of the people who say they hate it probably have never ridden one. Once you ride one, you really begin to understand what the machine is about. It's full of character. The massive Boxer twin engine that's on this bike at 1800cc is the main talking piece. I mean, that's what people mostly get annoyed about, is that, well, you can't have forward controls because you've got these in the way. It's perfectly comfortable. I'm 6'1" and the riding position is absolutely fantastic. If you're a bit older and you've got a bit sore knees, then maybe you would want to have forward controls. So it might not be the bike for you, but if that's the only really reason I can imagine as to why that would be a problem. But when you start the bike up, there's so much character. The bike shakes you to the side, and as I rode the Moto Guzzi V7 the other week, I was saying about the character of that motorcycle. This is similar, but this is to the extreme because of the size of this engine. It really does rock you, and when you rev the bike, it rocks to the side. It makes a tremendous noise, and the torque that this motorcycle produces is out of this world. It's one of the most torquey cruisers out there. And you really can feel it. So it's definitely torquier than my Harley Davidson 107, and it's a fabulous engine, it really is. The Michelin Commander tyres that are on this are very much dry weather tyres. As I left the dealership this morning, I gave it about 20% throttle and I went completely sideways on the bike. So that's made me take it rather gingerly on the way here so that I don't soil my pants. So if you've got these tyres, make sure you're careful. You don't want to end up in a ditch on a beautiful motorcycle like this. Now, if you're looking at any second-hand vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle or a car, I definitely recommend doing a history check so that you can save yourself money in the long run if the bike or car has a bit of dodgy history. Now, if you click the link in the description and head to Car Vertical's website and use my code Mr. Darcy for 10% off, you can get a report like this one on this Harley Davidson Road King, and on this report you can see there's a green tick for everything apart from the odometer, as there's been some mileage fraud. They've rolled back the mileage and the damage, so this bike was written off in 2020. You can also see photos of when the bike was crash damaged in 2020, so you can see the bike was very badly damaged, so you might want to avoid that one. But if you want to look at an existing vehicle, one you've already bought or one you're looking to purchase, then again, click the link in the description and head to Car Vertical's website and use my code for 10% off. The wonderful people at Sycamore Motorrad in Peterborough made this video happen today. They are the people behind this creation, and they were very kind at pulling out all the stops to get me insured on this bike. I'm 21 years old, and most dealers can't insure you until you're about 24, 25, but they really pulled the stops out to make sure they could cover me for today. And I'm so glad that they did, because this motorcycle is one of a kind. It truly is fantastic. And if you're interested in buying this bike, it is for sale. It's £23,995. And if you go in there and mention that you've come from my video, from Mr. Darcy and the Old Man, you'll get £500 off. And if you're interested in any other BMW or motorcycle they've got in there, again, say that we sent you and they'll see what they can do for you. So big thanks to Sycamore Motorrad. as you can see, this bike is far from standard. They've done a lot of customization to this bike, so much so that I cannot remember it off the top of my head. So I've got a trusty list here to tell you exactly what they've done. So you've got some BMW machine parts, which is part of a collaboration with Roland Sands Design. You've got the front engine cover and the cylinder head covers in black, which look fantastic. You've got this headlamp bezel, the reservoir caps, and the front and rear wheel, which look fantastic. What a beautiful design. They are absolutely magnificent. I normally prefer spoke wheels, but these look awesome, really cool. Bottom fork end caps, the upper fork leg covers are also by them, and the fuel filler cap and the brake and clutch lever. And then you've got some Rizoma parts, so the bars, the bar end mirrors, which are fantastic, really nice sleek design. The indicators, which are fantastically machined into the bar ends, and the rear ones are just so small that they just they add to the design of the bike rather than detract, so they look fantastic. And then you've got some Wunderlich parts. You've got the Rock Bob rear fender, which looks fantastic, really hugs the back wheel, and this leather swing seat, which is really nice, good looking, and the side number plate holder. Unfortunately, in the UK, you have to have these massive number plates. You could put a smaller one on there, but you might get in trouble, or you can do what the old man did and cut down the number plate so it's just within the restrictions. You can actually cut them down a little bit to make them a bit smaller, which would look fantastic. My favourite part of this bike, train going past, is the exhaust. You've got a one-of-one Pro Race titanium exhaust system, which sounds absolutely unbelievable. This is the best sounding R18 I've ever heard. I'm constantly telling the old man to get an exhaust for his, but he loves the shape of the fishtail exhaust, which I am in agreement. It looks fantastic, but these things sound fantastic when you put an aftermarket exhaust like that on there, which is just unbelievable. You've also got a Hyper Pro rear suspension unit, which is really good, soaks up the bumps nicely. So what an extensive list of bits they've done. I think they've also done a, you've got a heel and toe gear shifter. So there's probably a few bits that we've forgotten because there's so many parts that they've changed that they couldn't remember them all when they tried to give me the list. But just take a look at that. Not only have they added all these amazing parts to the bike, but they've done a one-of-a-kind custom paint job in Xanto Orange, which is a Lamborghini paint colour, and you can tell it's a Lamborghini colour. It's the ultimate colour of orange, isn't it? The shade of it is fantastic. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Hemi Orange, which you used to get on the Dodge Chargers, which look fantastic. But this is such a deep, rich tone of orange, and it's got this gold metallic flake. So in sunlight like today, on a really sunny day, it really stands out. So if you go to any shows or bike meets on this bike, you are really going to stand out in the crowd. And people hear you coming as well with that titanium Pro Race exhaust system, which just sounds unbelievable. I mean, hopefully I can make do the bike justice on camera, but wow, what an exhaust. That just sounds unbelievable, and it looks fantastic. It looks very in keeping with the design of the bike. How this bike rides is fantastic. It's The way they've customised it is great because it means that it hasn't detracted from the way that the R18 feels and rides. Some custom builds, they go a bit too extreme and put a massive big front wheel on there or something like that, and it spoils the way the bike rides. While it might look cool, it's more of a showpiece than a bike you'd actually ride. But this is a bike that I would more than happily ride. I wouldn't ride it in the wet. It's a bit scary with that rear tyre. It's almost slick. I mean, it's like a sports bike tyre. So in the wet, not so good, and all that torque, it wants to spin up. So hopefully the roads will dry out a little bit on my way back because it's quite sunny today. It's actually quite warm. The weather forecast said it would be about 6 degrees, but it feels more like 15. It's fantastic. But yeah, this is a real joy to ride. It's fantastic around town because it's got so much torque, but it's not begging you to rev it and go faster. So it will more than happily chug along at low speeds with no fuss whatsoever. So it's great around town and in traffic. But when you get out on the open road, you really begin to open the bike up. You feel the torque pushing you. It's like a rhinoceros, like the old man said. And what a bike. It's so stable at speed at 60, 70 miles an hour. It's really stable and it's super planted. So it really is a joy to ride. The R18 plays with your emotions unlike many other bikes can do. The way the bike starts up, the way the engine sounds, the amount of torque it's got, and the looks of the motorcycle, especially with this one, the way it looks, it just makes you feel amazing. It really strikes your emotions, and when you're sat on it and you're going along, everyone stops to have a look at it, everyone looks at you when you go past. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, some people want to blend in, some people want to stand out. So that's up to you whether you want to stand out, and if you do, then this would be a very good choice of motorcycle. Now, I've seen a few custom R18 builds, not many to this extent. Sometimes you'll see one that have done a bit of customization to it, but this is a proper custom build. I saw a few back at the Mali Mile in 2021, and they were on the BMW stand and they looked fantastic. But this is probably the best one I've seen. And I did some searching through the internet to find some custom builds. There's not many out there, you know. And I think partially due to the fact that the R18, but as general, hasn't sold that well. You know, it's no secret that some of them are sat in dealerships for quite some time. But I think this strategy of making it really unique can change your opinion on it, because if you don't like those classic looks of the bike, then doing something like this to it and really taking all the steps to make an extreme motorcycle, then you can also appeal to other types of people, and I think that's what this bike does. I don't think the old man would walk into a dealership and buy this bike, but someone else who wouldn't walk into a dealership and buy the R18 First Edition would look at this one and go, oh, wow, actually, that's changed my mind on the R18, maybe I'll look at that one. So this really opens it up to a different type of person, and I think they've done a fantastic job.